Hello and welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. I'm Abisoye.
And I'm Adeolu. And we have with us Demi Banwo, the one and only.
Demi, actor, creative mastermind. How many things do you even do?
I'm going to try and be humble here.
As I reel off a list.
So I'm primarily an actor. But then but I also produce. I'm a creative director, casting director. I was a photographer in a previous lifetime. I used to be a radio presenter. Such is true. A radio presenter.
That's 6.
And then I make granola and cookies.
You didn't even mention singing.
You forgot
to
cookies.
Worship minister. Have you not led worship?
Yeah, but I'm not a singer. I'm an actor that can sing.
Have you led worship at your church?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, worship minister. So that's 8.
Okay.
Now, this list is quite
We thank God.
You said primarily you're an actor.
Primarily, yes.
So let's talk about your
That's
primary
my life's
work. Carabos.
So yeah, I'm an actor. That's what I've always wanted to do since I saw Jurassic Park when I was 4. And yeah, I've pretty much followed it all through life and sort of got to the point after uni where I kind of realized that you can actually do this acting thing.
You developed an interest in acting after uni?
No, so I'd always been interested in. So basically, I saw Jurassic Park when I was 4.
You're right. Okay.
And I was like, you know what, that's thing, that's what I want to do. At the time, I didn't know it was acting, right? I just knew that films,
so
dinosaurs. I was wailing, like I was crying. I was legit scared, but I couldn't stop watching it, type thing. So I just always knew that I wanted to work in film. And then, of course, school drama, church drama. And then when I finished uni, I remember I had auditioned. One of my friends had made me audition for Glee. And it was quite an experience. That just made me think, oh, can I actually do this? And so I called my dad and I was like, hey, Dad, I'm moving to LA to go and be an actor.
What was his response?
How did that go?
You know, for him, he came out of the blue, so I think he was in shock. So he was just like, okay. And then he hung up. And then like 15 minutes, I think it took him like 15 minutes to process, like, what did he just say? And so he called me back and just went off, like, and both of my parents are lawyers.
Right.
So he just went off. He was just like, you must have lost your mind if you think you're just going to drop everything and just move to LA and be an actor, blah, blah, blah. And he just blasted me and just hung up. And then my mom calls immediately after. And she's like, he just wants you to have a plan, this and that, and all that. So we sort of put together a plan, and here we are. 7 years later, nothing has gone according to plan. Nothing has gone according to that plan.
But what did you study in uni, or what was your educational experience? So
my first degree was in communication media, but focused on journalism and film.
Okay.
So I actually managed to
Not too far
put
off.
film into that. And then I got a master's in acting.
Okay.
She master.
The best man for the job.
She professional. So, all right, you said, nothing went according to plan. So, in the process of nothing going according to plan, how did these other things that you now do fall into place? How did they come into the picture?
I think it's always been a thing of, it's been a mix of things. So sometimes originally my original plan was, okay, we moved to LA, we had, I'd gotten into drama school there. And so I came back to Lagos to renew my student visa. That didn't go well. That was the first speed bump in the road, because I was like, yeah, I'm just here for 2 weeks, renew my student visa. Here we are 7 years later. Wow. And so when that didn't come through, it was like, okay, we're in this situation. We're in Lagos now. what do we do? You know, how do we make the most of it? And I know something that I usually do whenever something major happens to me. I usually just take like 24 hours, sometimes longer, to just do whatever I need to do. Cry, break some stuff, have some very nice conversations with God. And then after that, it's like, okay, how do we figure this out? So I know immediately after I moved back to Lagos, I started NYSC, and then I also had an interest in radio at the time. So I started working for Smooth 98.1 and was an OAP there for 2 years.
Was that on the original list or is that a ninth one?
Huh?
I remember.
No, OAP was on there.
Okay.
No, there was a radio present. I mean.
Yeah, radio presenter. Yeah.
Okay.
And so in the midst of being a presenter at Smooth FM, I remember I'd seen this show called Giddy Up. And I didn't know people were making shows like that here. And so I saw it and I was like, yo, I have to be on this show. And I'm a very, how do I put it? Basically, it came down to I was literally running after someone's car to get to this role. Because, I mean, there was somebody had told me about...
You go to extreme lengths to get any
I mean, I
role
do whatever I
at
need
the
to.
expense of other actors.
I was like,
Somebody sounds pain. Like, so somebody had told me about Lala Akindoju. Because I remember when I first moved back, I met a lady called Najite Dede, and she had taken me, I'd taken her out to lunch. And so she gave me a list of people that I needed to talk to, and Lala was on that list. And I tried everything I could to get in touch with Lala. And so I remember I was leaving a fellowship one Wednesday, and somebody mentioned that, hey, Lala is in that car that's going. And I literally ran after the car.
Literally.
Like I ran after, I didn't catch the car, but I remember, I ran after her car. But long story short, a few months later, I get an audition for Giddy Up, get the role, and here we are.
Giddy Up.
Giddy Up. So that was my first professional job as an actor.
In between that, or where did photography fall in? 'Cause I know photography was in that process.
Photography. So I like to say that I tripped and fell into photography because it was never something that I aspired to. It was my sister, funny enough, that was always the one that had the cameras and all that. So she had actually started photography. She had gotten a nice Nikon camera and I remember she had taken this one picture of me one time and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I looked great, but I want to be able to do that. Yeah. And so I found out that, this was in my second year of uni, I found out that the school's newspaper would loan you a camera, they'll tell you to figure it out, and if your pictures were good enough, they'd pay you $10 a picture. It wasn't just $10 a picture, it was $10 every time they used a picture, so you could make like $100 off one photo if they ran it. And they had like 5 different newspapers type thing. And I was like, oh, this would be a nice way to make extra money type thing. And so they put a camera in my hands and were like, figure it out. And so I literally used to go everywhere with a camera. Like I became that guy that always had a camera with him and stuff. And then it was good. I made quite a bit of money while I was in uni, spent all of it. And then when I finished uni, I remember one of my best friends, his cousin was getting married, and I'd asked if I could bring my camera to the wedding, just to play around. And so at some point I'm off shooting something random, and the best man comes to me, and he's like, the person they hired doesn't know what they're doing. We need you to come and save. We need you to come and take over. And so that's how, I ended up taking over, like doing the portraits and all that, and I'd never shot a wedding. And so I did it, sent them the photos, and they ended up paying me like $1,500. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm a wedding photographer now. And that's where, and then I moved to Lagos, which is the mother lode of wedding.
Yeah.
It was a wedding every week. And in the process, I met Jide Alakija. And he sort of took me in, because I know at the time he was starting his Alakija Studios. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to train people here that could shoot like him. And so weddings that he couldn't come to do, he could always outsource to us. And so that's the way that started. That's the way. And there were actually, I think there was me, there was Lumi Morgan, Jide Odukoya, Tolani Ali. And so we all sort of trained under Jide. And then weddings just blew up. Like, I never expected it. Like, there was a time when I was shooting a wedding almost every weekend. But I remember I sort of got to a point where I'd always said that when it stopped being fun, I wouldn't do it anymore. And I sort of got to that point. Because I realized I got to the point where I was shooting just for money. Yeah. And when you shot, the interesting thing about Nigerian weddings is at some point they sort of become monotonous. Yeah. So once you've been to one, you've been to all of them, and then all your pictures start looking the same. And then if you're not pushed, if you're not motivated to be innovative with your pictures, then start all looking the same. And then Nigerian weddings are stressful. Type thing, you're fighting with like 40 other. I remember there was a wedding I was shooting, and I took a picture of all the photographers at that wedding. There were about 21, and I was the only one that the couple hired. Right. But there were about 21 other photographers. People with their phones that and so you're fighting with other people to do your job, and I was just like, no, this is not it for me.
So, I mean, right, so that's, we've touched on, and what I'm noticing, the trend I'm noticing is that obviously so much of what you do is within the creative space. You're creative by nature.
I think the thing is about being creative is sometimes it seems like we're so confused. We don't know where to start, where to end, and there's just so much going on in your head. And from talking about acting, photography, seeing that photography was something that you stumbled upon, and the fact that it wasn't you saying, oh, I'm not ready for this, I haven't done it before. Someone literally called you and said, oh, you need to cover this wedding, you're already there. And they were depending on you. That's so important. But with all these different talents you have and timing, and knowing when it's time to start this one, when it's time to go to the next one, how have you seen that playing out for you?
I realized that for me, a lot of times, God speaks through closed doors, right? And not even just closed doors. Usually with me and God, it's like he only gives me one option. Because if you give me like 10 options, I can make the wrong choice. So he'll open one door. And he's like, look, you can either stay where you are or go through this door. And after all the fighting and struggling, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going through this door. So that's sort of the way it has always worked for me. I know in me when it gets to the point of moving to something else, or not abandoning something, but maybe this isn't the season for this. So like with photography, for example, this isn't the season for me to be carrying my camera, going to shoot every wedding, but who knows, in 5 years, I might be doing like behind the scenes photography for movies type thing, or I don't know, I might be, shooting something, I don't know. I like to think of my skills as things I have for life. Right. And from time to time, tap into one thing, tap into the other. And luckily for me, they all sort of tie into each other. Yeah. So for example, when I decided to start a casting agency, it was a thing of, at the beginning of the year, I was praying, and me and God were having one of our nice chats with not so nice words. And he had said open doors. And so I was like, okay, I like where this is going. 2019, doors are going to open for me. It's the year I blow, I manifest. He's like, no, I need you to open doors. And I'm like, oh, wow. So it's now security we'll be doing.
I shall call you Demi Banwo.
So I actually now went into the year thinking, okay, what are the things that I can do that would open doors for other people? How can I create opportunities for other people? And I had done casting in the past on a couple of shows I've worked on, but I got led to put a structure to casting, in the sense that, it's not just me saying, oh, I think this actor is great for the job. It's me coming to you with this actor's CV, this actor's showreel, and his photo, and saying that, look, based on the facts, this actor is qualified to do the job, type thing. So that's the general viewpoint for the casting agency. Now I've had to put that on hold a bit because I'm trying to produce my first film. Is there something you want to get off?
I'm just saying, solid scripts. I really like the idea.
Do you want to audition for us right now?
I believe I've already shown my talent. I don't.
They do like a Shakespeare monologue.
I'm alright. Thanks.
No.
We're good. I mean,
Okay,
the truth is, you
yeah.
know how good I am.
We always
don't
prepare.
need to worry about that.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
always prepared.
Moving on.
So yeah, for me, it was about creating opportunities for other people. That's sort of been my focus for this year. Yeah.
So we want to delve more into that creative side, and then beyond that, we're going to dig into the person that made you so creative. Do you get me? Like what is behind you?
It's God. It's God. It is God.
But first, we're gonna take a break. All right. So please make sure you come back, and we'll talk more with Demi Banwo about what it is that makes him him.
I could feel myself falling, like saying, bro, you're falling. Wow, you're falling. This guy, you are actually falling down, oh. This stuff that you see on TV is happening to you. God is real.
Who are you?
Why are you black?
Welcome to the heart of the matter.
The whole world was looking for me.
She called me, she's like, oh my God, Ines, it's God that brought you back.
And I just dropped to the floor.
I'm gonna dive right into the heart of the matter.
What are your thoughts on Canada?
My thoughts on Canada.
Yeah.
Real random.
I'm really so excited today.
Just a tad. Very passionate about leveling the playing field. Listening is not the only aspect of communication.
I believe that the solution is from the bottom up. If you don't talk now, you talk later.
There's glory. There's glory.
So let's break it down.
Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. We're back with Demi Banwo, a creative mastermind who does, like everything, talking about his journey. And
You guys make it sound so much
I
better than it is.
I want to talk a bit about getting to where you are. So, like, we talked about the creative side and all that stuff is important. If there was, it's a bit of an early point to ask the question usually in an interview, but if there was one thing that you wanted people to take away that you believe is incremental in you being where you are and you achieving what you've achieved and being in a position or to even do things you're going to do, what would you think the bit of advice would be? What would you want people to take away and to know and to learn?
It's funny, if you had asked me this question like last week, the answer would have been very different. But there's something I'm learning now, is that your faith is very important, right? And faith as in what you believe in. I believe that everyone should believe in some sort of higher power. Mine is God. And in my walk with God right now, where we are, is that I'm starting to realize the importance of the Holy Spirit. That has sort of been my study for the last week or two. Is like, there are times when you're confused in life, especially if you're someone who knows how to do a lot of things. You have access to a lot of things, and sometimes it's like, okay, what do I focus on? Which direction do I go in? And what I keep getting is, look, the Holy Spirit has all the answers you're looking for, type thing. The Holy Spirit will tell you where to go. The Holy Spirit will tell you what to do. And so for me, that sort of gives me a sense of release. So it's like I don't have to figure everything out on my own, because that's what I've always done. I've always tried to figure everything out on my own. But now it's like, no, sometimes you can just let it go and just let the Holy Spirit lead you.
I want to understand, I guess, what keeps you motivated?
For me, it's really, I think what motivates me the most is the idea of what I'm working towards. I see the big picture of what my life is supposed to be like. Between me and God, there are certain things that we've agreed. Marvel is in the picture. And so those are the things that keep me going day to day. It's like, okay, we're working towards Black Panther 2, Black Panther 3, you know. Hey. And so for me, it's really the big picture. Like, the funny thing is, I see my future in flashes, like literal pictures type thing, and the pictures are so big that sometimes it's even like, how am I even going to get there? Like, and sometimes that can be overwhelming, but it's just like, okay, one step at a time. So for me, it's really having the big picture and holding on to that, because it gets really hard. Sometimes it gets really hard.
Talking about your motivations and dreams and aspirations and goals versus what you putting your faith in God and the Holy Spirit. I feel like sometimes the opposite of faith is fear sometimes, and kind of keeping you from holding back. So with all these different gifts and talents, and like you said, I like what you said about you have your talents for a lifetime, and it's like, sometimes I think, oh, this talent goes away if you don't, if you're not there for a while. So how have you dealt with, okay, it's time for this, I need to put this aside? But
I think one of the things I like about being an actor, or at least in an ideal world, the way I see actors is you should always be constantly learning one skill or the other, because I don't know, you might get a role that requires you to be a tailor. It's great if you already knew how to be a tailor, how to sew, and there are countless stories of people that have gotten roles off of the most random skills. You know, people get roles because they can juggle balls. You know, so for me, the acquisition of skills and talents, the way I see it, is actually even part of my job. Like right now, I'm trying to learn how to play the guitar. I don't want to be a professional guitar player, but just on the off chance that somebody is doing a biopic about some musician that plays the guitar, it's great to already know how to play the guitar. So for me, skill acquisition and self-improvement is something that would always happen all through life. And again, through the Holy Spirit, you get the leading for when the time and season for each skill is present.
We're going to pivot a little bit.
I don't like what this pivot is going.
No, we're just going to pivot now. So,
Okay.
I mean, one of the things that you said was that it's important to have the big picture in front of you and hold on to the picture, because sometimes it gets hard. So yeah, I'm going to ask the hardest things you've gone through and how you are carrying that weight and getting through it. And what keeps you going every day with the weight of certain pains? And you know the pain, so you must just speak them before I have to speak it for you.
I mean, the hardest thing I went through today was trying to figure out what to eat for breakfast.
And you've ever been ever on the scale.
this year.
This year has been, you know, when I write my biography.
Should we call 2019? 2019.
No, my biography can't be 2019. There'll be a chapter dedicated to 2019, because this year has been, when you say one for the books, the year already even started out hard, because it's like last year, everything was great. You know, I was working back to back. I had a 1-year contract on a show, which never happens for an actor, and stuff. And then you finish that in December, and then January comes and it's just boom, nothing. And so January, February, March, I was just like, 3 months, I haven't worked. My gosh. So in my mind, that was the hardest thing that I had gone through. And then April rolls along, and life is like, you know what? Just gonna throw you one more curveball. And so I lost my mom in April, and it was unexpected. In fact, it's still unexpected, because, I mean, there are still times when I wake up and I'm like, wait, so she didn't just travel. Because funny enough, she was about to travel for 3 months. So the first 3 months were like, okay, she's just traveled. Now we're in entering month 5 now. And so it's like, oh wow, so this is life now. And that's when the big picture becomes hard, because she was always in the big picture, right? So the big picture has now sort of changed a bit. I mean, the detail of it has changed a bit because I never once considered life without Monsi. Like, it just wasn't a thing. It wasn't something that you ever thought about. And in the span of 2 weeks, because 2 weeks she was fine, 2 weeks she was gone, and in the span of 2 weeks you're just like, okay, so how do we now navigate life? You know, the question that has been coming up a lot now is like, okay, what does my wedding day look like without Monsi? I don't know. I actually don't know. But what it has sort of taught me is that, as cliche as it sounds, life is transient. You know, you can be here today, gone tomorrow. So why don't we literally live and work like you could be dead in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like, that's like everybody I work with now, that's what I tell them. I'm like, look, I'm working as if I could be dead in 2 weeks. So if there's anything that we can do today and just get it out of the way today, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's talks we've navigated kind of subtly through the different paths, and we even know the big picture. We know the different things you're doing. What is tomorrow? Like, what's next?
Tomorrow, like Saturday, because tomorrow I'm sleeping all day tomorrow.
Tomorrow, like Monday, but
I see what you did there.
what's next?
What's next? So right now, my primary project is producing my own first feature film, because I feel like as an actor, there's so much that is not in your control, especially when you see yourself one way as an actor, but then other people see you another way, and then the kind of roles you're getting don't quite fit into the kind of roles you want to do, or the kind of projects you want to do. And I sort of just looked around, and I really wasn't seeing or getting the kind of characters I wanted to. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's take a stab at producing our own content. Because at the end of the day, in those big rooms that we talk about, it's really the content producers that are in there. I think they're the ones that are making the decisions that then affect us as actors. So I want to be in the room where it happens.
Oh, shame. He's even giving us some quotes.
Yeah, I'll give you some Hamilton references. In the room where it happens.
It has been awesome.
Thanks for
if
having
we had
me.
the time, we would have.
I feel like there's some questions that you wanted to
as
ask.
in-
Yeah.
Oh, just as per being polite.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thank you very much for coming in. Don't worry, we'll do parts 2. Thank you very much for joining us today on Heart of the Matter. Please make sure that you follow us on social media at HOTMTV on Instagram and Facebook, and at Heart of the Matter on YouTube. Thank you very much. God bless.